ever feel overwhelmed? Like, just thinking about writing a novel, it's so daunting, right? Like staring at a blank page. But what if you had a plan, like a blueprint, a way to break that massive task into smaller steps?
That's where the Snowflake Method comes in.
The Snowflake Method, we're diving deep into that today.
It's a great tool
Hmm.
for going from that initial spark of an idea to a fully realized story.
Right. And we've got excerpts from 3 different articles about it, a whole section from the creator's book, even like a YouTube summary thing, all to unpack so you can figure out, is this thing right for me?
Yeah, because like any tool, it's going to have its strengths, it's going to have its weaknesses.
Totally, totally. So, Snowflake Method, where do we even begin?
It all starts with a single sentence.
One sentence? Seriously?
One sentence, that's it.
That feels, I don't know, kind of impossible. Like, how do you capture a whole novel in one sentence?
It might seem daunting, but it's actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That single sentence, it forces you to really pinpoint the absolute core of what your story is about.
So it's about, like, what's that seed, that core idea?
What's the main conflict? What's at stake? And you'll be surprised how much clarity even just nailing that one step can bring to your story.
Okay, so you've got that seed, and then what? We start building a snowflake around it?
Exactly. That one sentence, it expands, becomes a paragraph, and now you're outlining the major beats of your plot.
So like beginning, middle, end.
Beginning, yeah. You've
Yep.
got the big moments of conflict, those disasters that kind of like drive the story forward.
Disasters. Okay, so we're talking like those moments that completely upend your character's world, the things they have to overcome.
Yeah. And ultimately how it all resolves.
Okay,
And those disasters are key because they raise the stakes
right.
for your character.
Yeah.
Right. It makes the reader ask, how are they going to get out of this one? That tension, that constant escalation, it's crucial for keeping people hooked.
Totally, totally, because no one wants to read about some character that just like breezes through life, right? No challenges, no nothing. That's boring. So we've got the snowballing conflict, but how do the characters actually fit into all this?
So the Snowflake Method, it's cool because it really integrates character development really beautifully.
Okay.
Right after you have that kind of initial sketch of the plot, you switch gears completely and you create character summaries.
Okay, so not just like, oh, this is Bob, he's a lawyer, but like, what makes Bob tick?
Exactly. You're going to dive into their backstories. Where do they come from? What motivates them? What are their goals? What are their flaws?
Because flawed characters, those are the relatable ones.
Right.
They make mistakes, they surprise us, we end up rooting for them even harder.
Yes. We're talking about understanding their journey as much as the overall plot.
Okay, so we've got these summaries. We're like going deeper into these characters. What's next?
So those initial character summaries, they evolve
Yeah.
into full-fledged character Bibles.
Ooh, character Bibles. I love it.
Think of it like you're building this detailed profile for each person. You're getting to know them as well as your best friend.
It's like, on those crime shows, they have that big board with the photos and the red string and connecting everything. We're doing that, but for a character.
Exactly.
What kind of details are we talking here?
Their deepest fears, their core values, those defining moments in their past that shaped who they are today.
Right, right.
And here's the really interesting part. You'll start to see how these values might actually come into conflict with this story.
Oh, because conflict equals good storytelling.
Yes.
Whether it's a character like battling their inner demons or are facing off against like some external force. Right. That's where the good stuff happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by understanding those internal struggles, those internal conflicts, you create characters that readers can really connect with, flaws and all.
So we've gone from one sentence to a plot outline to these like intricate character profiles. This snowflake is really starting to come together. But before we go any further, I want to hear more about those disasters you mentioned.
Okay.
Talking like natural disasters, epic battles, personal tragedies. Give me the nitty-gritty.
Think about disasters as those turning points in your story.
Yeah.
Those moments that just throw your character completely off course.
Right.
It could be anything, like a sudden illness.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Or a betrayal.
Okay.
Or even something huge like a natural disaster.
Yeah.
Or a war breaks out.
Right, right, right. It's all about shaking things up
go.
and how your characters have to like adapt.
Exactly.
So it's not limited to like one genre or type of event.
Right.
It's all about the impact. How does it hit those characters? How does it drive that plot forward?
Exactly. It's about finding those moments that create the most tension. Raise the stakes for your characters.
Okay, got it. Now, Remember those scene summaries we talked about earlier? Those little, like, snapshots of key moments?
Yes.
Are we finally ready to bring those to life?
This is where it all starts to click.
Okay.
You've got that foundation.
Yeah.
With your plot outline and your character Bibles.
Right. We've done all that work.
And now you can use it all. Flesh out those scene summaries.
So each scene becomes like this little, I don't know, microcosm of the bigger story with those internal conflicts, those external conflicts, all kind of weaving together.
Yes, every scene has to serve a purpose.
Ooh, I like that.
You're moving that plot forward, revealing something new about your characters.
Yeah.
Building towards those big disasters that are going to keep your readers hooked.
Okay. I'm starting to really see how this all comes together.
Yeah.
But with all these moving parts,
Yeah.
this feels like it could get, I don't know, overwhelming. Like, how do you keep track of everything? I've heard whispers about spreadsheets. Is that where this all comes in?
Spreadsheets are your secret weapon.
Okay.
I know. It sounds a little corporate.
Yeah, a little bit.
For something as creative as writing, right?
Yeah.
But trust me on this.
Okay.
Think of a spreadsheet like your writer's command center.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. What makes them so useful?
Because you can see everything.
Okay.
The whole arc of your story. All at a glance.
Right?
You can rearrange scenes without a problem.
Oh.
You can track your point of view shifts. Even plan out those, like, killer dialogue exchanges.
Wow.
It's about making the complex manageable.
So it's like having a visual representation, like right there in front of you.
Yes.
You can move things around, zoom in on specific scenes, make sure everything flows.
Exactly. And here's the best part. It's not about being rigid. In fact, the Snowflake Method really encourages what's called backtracking.
Backtracking.
Yes.
So, like, if I realize a scene just isn't working.
Yeah, or like...
Or a character needs to go in, like, a totally different direction.
Exactly. As you're writing, you're going to uncover new insights. You might find plot holes you didn't see before.
Oh, I hate those.
Right. Or maybe a character just wants to go in a completely different direction.
It happens.
And that's okay. That's part of the process.
So it's less about, like, sticking to this rigid plan and more about having that roadmap, but being open to those little, like, detours along the way.
Yes.
You've got your compass, you've got your map, but you have the freedom to explore. Sometimes that's where you find the good stuff, you know?
Right. That's what I love about writing. It's like you never know what you're going to discover. I do have to ask, though.
Mm-hmm.
This all sounds incredibly structured.
Yeah.
Is the Snowflake Method really right for every writer?
Yeah.
What if someone, like, thrives on spontaneity? They hate the idea of planning everything out.
Yep.
It's like some writers are architects, you know?
Yep.
Meticulous, planning every little detail before they even, like, hammer the first nail.
Right.
And then others, they're like gardeners. They plant those seeds and then let their creativity just bloom organically. That's a great way to put it. And the Snowflake Method, you know what? It can benefit both.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Even if you don't follow every single step exactly as it's laid out, just understanding those core principles, game changer.
So it's not about, like, I have to do this way or else. It's more like, here's a framework.
Exactly.
A set of tools.
Think of it like that, yeah.
That I can use to kind of shape my story.
It helps you break it down.
Right, because it's so daunting.
It is, especially that beginning stage. But if you can break down this massive thing, writing a whole novel, into these smaller, more manageable steps.
It feels less impossible.
Exactly. Less daunting, way more fun.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm ditching the writer's block and grabbing a spreadsheet. But let's say someone's listening to all of this and they're thinking, all right, this is amazing, but how do I even begin? What's the one thing, like the most surprising thing that you think someone should take away from all this?
You ready for this?
Hit me.
Writing a novel. It's less about waiting for that, bolt of inspiration.
Oh, I hate waiting for that.
It's the worst, right? It's more about showing up.
Yeah.
Consistently. Making those choices. Facing those blank pages. And you know what? Sometimes embracing the backtrack.
Yeah, it's all part of the process, right? So it's about trusting it.
Yes.
Putting in the work. And realizing that even those moments where I feel stuck, like totally at a dead end,
could lead to a breakthrough.
Exactly.
And the Snowflake Method, it can help with that too.
How so?
It gives you that structure.
Okay.
That roadmap,
Yeah.
to guide you through those moments.
So you're not just totally lost in the woods, like, which way do I go?
Right.
It's not a magic bullet or anything.
No.
But it's a tool.
It's a good one to have.
Awesome. Like having scaffolding.
Mm-hmm.
But for your imagination, who knows what kind of crazy stories you could build with that. So that writer who's out there ready to give this thing a try, where do they start?
Start with that sentence.
Okay.
The one we talked about.
Yeah.
It's that single sentence that, like, sums up your whole novel, Don't be afraid to play around with it as you write. Let it evolve.
Right.
But that very first step, distilling it, that's where the magic happens.
So true. Well, I'm feeling super inspired. I don't know about you. Thanks for this deep dive. We've given everyone a lot to think about.
My pleasure.
Maybe even enough to start writing their own bestsellers.
Hey, you never know. The most important thing, though, have fun. Embrace the journey. And never be afraid to let your creativity just snowflake.
Yes.